Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Seawall, checking in as I do all throughout the Washington Commanders season to give you the latest and greatest updates on the Washington Commanders. If you are a Commanders fan, you want to make sure you are locked in on this live discussion. Tag in your favorite fellow Washington Commanders fans. There is absolutely a lot to discuss. I see that folks are still checking in, but let me go ahead and go through the housekeeping items first. This is a live Bowie television recording. Everything we say and do here will be on your television screens, everybody. Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity, Channel 77, Monday through Friday from 1:30 to 2:30, and then on the weekends during the noon hour. Hopefully, you are catching us in the live discussion, either on the Bowie TV YouTube, at Bowie TV at BCMC TV Maryland, or you're watching through the YouTube, through the Seawall Sports and Entertainment page, or the Seawall Sports and Entertainment Facebook. If you're joining from Facebook, make sure you hit that love button. Make sure you share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're tuned in from any of the YouTube pages, hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so that you don't ever miss an update. And last but not least of the housekeeping items, you all make sure you say hello to Mama Waller and Papa Waller. They had to check on their baby girl today. They said, "Are you all right?" I said, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I think I'm going to make it." So make sure you say hello to them. I see that Kim has joined. I see the First String Podcast has joined. Of course, Mama Waller is on, as I mentioned. Joe Harris is on as well. You all make sure you share this show because there is a lot to discuss, and we have a lot of content from today's player locker cleanout, as well as we're going to do a deep dive into the Josh Harris, Washington Commanders controlling owner and managing partner press conference. We're going to really do a deep dive into the press conference on what was said, and then we'll talk about next steps. But a lot of video content from players. You definitely want to hear what some of them were saying for sure. So, are you all ready to go? Are you all ready to go? There's a lot to discuss, and we are not going to leave any stone unturned. And of course, toward the end, if you all have any questions, because I'm there, you all know I'm there. There all day, been there all season for the last few years. Absolutely drop your questions, whether they're fact-based, whether you want my opinion, doesn't matter. Go ahead and ask me, and we can get the conversation rolling. So, without further ado, we all know what was going to happen, especially considering a Washington Commanders season that ended with the team being 4-13 bright and early this morning. Former head coach Ron Rivera had his meeting with managing partner, controlling owner of the Washington Commanders, Josh Harris, who informed him that they have parted ways. He was officially let go from the Commanders. Drop in the chat your thoughts, your feelings. You all know I've shared with you all over the years that it has definitely been a joy getting to know Coach Ron Rivera. Seeing the relationship he's built with the players, with the staff, it's always been all good with Coach Ron Rivera, except for on the football field. Football product aside, it just never panned out. If you had an opportunity to read his official statement upon his departure, that's that's all things Ron Rivera right there. It's all right there. And I was happy to read it. I could hear him saying it as I was reading it. And it's truly unfortunate because I do truly believe that he left the organization, at least in terms of the locker room, better than it was. But we all know that ultimately winning matters. And the team just didn't do enough of that. And this year was just beyond it couldn't get any worse, it seemed like. I mean, all of the it could have gotten worse. Things could always be worse, but this was really bad. So now that we've gotten past that part, I got to ask the question, because this is something that we do, you all know, in each and every single Coaching from the Couch series in the Washington Commanders Update show. It's the game of what's your one word. And I do want to know you all's one word to describe how you feel about this season. How do you all feel about this season? Go ahead, drop it in the chat. If you're tuned in from the Facebook stream, make sure you share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. We're going to be on for a while. If you are checked in from our YouTube streams, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and the bell. Hopefully we can see your comments as well and be able to put them on the screen. But go ahead and share your one word. I know it's probably so many one words you can come up with, you all, to kind of describe how you're feeling, how you think the season went. I will start off while you all are still thinking about what your one words are to describe the season. I can that it would have gone down 4-13 season, 4-13 record this season, trading Montez and Chase. That Sam Howell would have a strong start and then regress overall. I would have just been like, that's a bit far-fetched. But that is what happened. That is what happened. And considering all of the energy overall from all facets, and then just how hard the team worked in OTAs, in training camp, definitely did not see this coming. Want to share, and I saw a couple of the words gut-wrenching. D'Angelo Pope said sad. Mama Wallace said embarrassed. Kim Perry has jumped in and she had two words, sucker punched. It was a shock. All of the above. You all heard me say this on a previous show, and it was trying to figure out which game. Where did it all start falling apart? And we started going up from the Buffalo Bills game to that first Eagles game. And it was that short week against the Bears. And then they had a longer stretch. They went to Atlanta, actually won. Then the Giants and the Eagles. Last night in the after game press conference after the last game of the season, and right now I can't remember, maybe it was perhaps my colleague Craig Hoffman or either Grant Paulson, I can't remember right now, who asked the question about which game was the kind of turning point did Coach Rivera believe for was the change in the season, the downhill slope. Where did it start? And Coach Rivera said it was the first Eagles game. And I said, yep. That's around that time. That was around that time because the team was so devastated by how they lost to the Bills in week 3. The first Eagles game was in week 4, played a great game against the Eagles, but they were, I shared back then that the team was just seemed devastated. Then that short week against the Chicago Bears and for Thursday Night Football was just a disaster. And so we knew right around that time. And so for Coach to say it was that first first, I'm looking at your comment here, D'Angelo, say it was that first Philly game. I said, Coach, he knows where it went down. He knows where it went down. And that is because that Buffalo Bills was just rough. And then the Eagles game was like, they were devastated by that loss. They were really devastated. And I shared that with you all. Like, this team was very upset losing to the Eagles in overtime. They were very upset. And then that Bears game, it was like everybody forgot they had a game that day. And so we're going to go ahead and get into the content. If you're watching from Facebook, hit that love button. You absolutely want to share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. We have a lot of content. Okay, we're going to first start, and I don't even know if I want to share with you all. I did put it on my Facebook page, all of the Commanders players that we joined their media scrums or had conversations with them and said, getting their feedback on everything. The first video, and I was like, should I tell you all who it is? I'm probably just going to go ahead and tell you all who it is, because last year it was a little bit of a different vibe. So we played a game like, guess who I talked to? Guess who we, got some of their feedback on. But this year was definitely a different vibe, especially with the firing of Ron Rivera, that I will tell you all this. There was not a happy person today. Or yesterday evening. Players are going to talk. They're going to be kind. They're going to talk as much as possible. But this has been really hard. And I know that a lot of people were like, okay, yes, finally. But that's not necessarily in real life how the players feel, although they understand it. And everybody understands it, because, what then of a 4-13 season happens in this business. So Josh Harris did address the team this morning after the conversation was had with Coach Rivera. But we have a lot of content. Hit that love button, share the show. If you want your comments included, drop in the chat any comments that you have, any questions that you have for me, because we're going to get into first the player comments about Coach Rivera, about the season overall. The first one up, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you all as we go through this, because I think I'm just going to tell y'all. This year I'm going to tell y'all. Last year I let you guess, but this year I'm going to tell you all. After the game, was able to be in on Tressway's media scrum, and I could sense an emotional Tress. Like I said, this is tough, and Tressway is one of the captains. He definitely had a few things to share, so I was able to jump in on his media scrum and check it out here.
What you could call work with your best friends, coaches that have impacted your life, changed your career, changed your life, brought things out of you that you didn't know you had. And I would say that I'm one of the more biased friends out there with my friends who have done those things for me, with me. So it just gets very heavy. Makes your stomach a little uneasy. You just don't know. You don't know what is going to happen to anybody, but that's just the reality of playing in this sport, playing in this league. Is you have to be at your best, and I was not at my best this year, and that's something that really bothers me. But it's just a heavy time. And if you love the people that you work with and you care about the people you work with, I think that it should be heavy anytime the season doesn't finish how you want, and there's a whole lot of questions out there. So.
Does this time around feel different, season ending? Like this feeling now? Have you felt this before?
Yeah. This is significantly different, because since Coach Rivera has got here, there hasn't been a season like this. There wasn't we finished 4-13. If I'm not, that just hasn't happened. You know, we've been in the mix and been playing meaningful games in November and December, and that's just so fun. And so this, you know, the last month, man, it was just, I cannot credit Coach Rivera, Coach Nate Katzer enough of their message of just, to us as guys, competitors, professionals, and it was just very, very thankful. Yeah.
What was his message to the room when he came in to talk to you guys?
That is completely private. Yeah, that is. He asked everybody. What I will tell you is he asked everybody to leave. That was not a player or a coach. Nobody else. And it was very private, very personal, and I'm sure as everybody has figured out by now, he's just an incredible human being. And so that was on par with how he addressed us. So.
Was that messaging today different, more emotional than kind of the way that he's dealt with you guys over the past, season, but maybe 4 years total?
Like messaging pregame, postgame. Postgame. Yeah. I think obviously all of us know as professionals playing in this league how there's always unanswered questions. You don't know what the heck's going to happen, and so I would say that type of feeling and emotion was on par with that. Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
Yeah.
So I see a comment here coming in the chat about Bob Myers. We are going to talk about that in a moment when we get into and look, we don't leave any stone unturned on this show. I put your comments right up and I say, hey, I'm gonna address you directly and say we're gonna get into it because I think there's also some clarification needed about Bob Myers and his role as an advisor to Josh Harris. He is not the GM. He is not the head of football operations, not a head coach, he's an advisor. And we're going to get into that a bit more in a moment when we do a deep dive into Josh Harris's press conference, because there was a lot of information that he shared there that I want to make sure we go through together and everybody knows exactly what is going on and what is said. I know earlier today there was a lot of confusion around the role of Bob Myers and others. He is advising the ownership group and specifically Josh Harris on the hire of the head of football operations and the head coach. There is advisors. They're not there to serve in those roles. So I thought that was very important. It's also a very important point to mention that Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney are still with the organization, helping with the search as well. They will be evaluated as well. The only person, and I will probably have to repeat this as we get into these topics, the only person that the team has currently parted ways with is Ron Rivera. Now, listen, things are happening fast. So in the next hour, maybe even the next 30 minutes, could this be outdated information? Absolutely. But at this time, as I'm saying it out of my mouth, the only person that they have parted ways with because they are certain they wanted a change at the position is Ron Rivera. So love button, fire emoji, if that provided some additional clarification. There's so many more things to discuss from a player perspective. And I see this comment here from DJ Bland in the Not Bland show. Ron is a great man. He cared for his players. It's unfortunate he did the job he was brought here to do, and the football side just didn't work out. That is absolutely the case. And as we get into some more of the player interviews and media scrums, you all are going to hear that message. You're going to continue to hear players mention Coach Rivera and the culture and what he did for the team, specifically for some of them themselves. You absolutely want to make sure you're sticking around for comments from Sam Cosmi, Cornelius Lucas, Jahan Dotson about the offense. this year. And I want to say hello. I see in the chat Gerard McNeil from the 87 TV network. We're going to keep this thing rolling, and I will jump then into Cornelius Lucas's media scrum.
It's just different. I can't really put a finger on it. What exactly is the difference?
When Rivera first got here, he was tasked with changing the culture. As he leaves the culture here now, what is the culture of this locker room?
I feel like currently it's a bunch of guys that are about to try to find a home somewhere else. Hopefully find a home somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be much coaching in this room, in this locker room as it is right now. Because the past culture just walked out the door, so it's going to be a new culture coming in. That's going to be something different from what we had before.
So you feel like there's a lot of players on this team who are looking towards the future, maybe not here in Washington?
Say that one more time.
You feel like there's a lot of players on this team that maybe don't want to stick around in Washington, go through another rebuild?
I can't speak for others. I can only speak for me, and I don't have any more years on my contract. So more than likely, I probably will be looking somewhere else, unless Washington wants me back.
You want to be back?
Sure.
Awesome, thanks, Big
No faking and booty shaking.
Of course.
Well, the new ownership change happened right as the training camp was starting, and with the new ownership often comes changes. Was there any kind of cloud over the season? Do you feel with everybody kind of sensing something? Is there that this could be like a little bit of a lame duck here?
I wouldn't say cloud. I feel like there was a lot of optimism starting off with the season. I feel like we started off kind of high. It was just some sort of fizzle that happened from I don't know which week, but it started off really hot and really high, and we kind of just burned out.
I got it down at this point.
on this team.
Listen, that's one thing that you can say about locker room clean out day. You know, people gonna keep it real, especially after a season like this. This one was a tough pill to swallow. If you're just joining, you are watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, Seawall. This is a live Bowie television recording. If you're checked in from the Facebook live stream, make sure you hit that love button and make sure you're sharing this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you're checked in from the YouTube live stream, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell. We are going through everything that has happened in the last 24 hours. We've already covered the firing of head coach Ron Rivera, or former now head coach Ron Rivera. We've gone through a media scrum for Tress Way, just checked out a media scrum with Cornelius Lucas, have several other media scrums with several other players on locker room clean out day. And we are definitely going to do a deep dive into Washington Commanders controlling owner, managing partner Josh Harris's press conference that he had earlier today with the media. What did he say? What did he not say? What clarity needs to be shared around roles, responsibilities, what the immediate next steps are, so that everybody is aware and we're all learning together on what is happening right now. The Josh Harris era is absolutely here. Today, let's just go ahead and put that out there as we get into the next player video. Straight up, I don't recall the previous ownership group ever meeting with us to have a conversation about what happened and what's to come. So definitely a whole new game, pun intended, no pun intended, all of that good stuff in terms of this ownership group and the type of professionalism and the type of relationship they want to have with the fan base, the media, the overall community, and letting folks know what's going on. Next player media scrum on locker clean out day, Antonio Gibson.
I had some good memories here. I had some bad memories here. That's life. I have some good memories. I have some bad memories. But I wouldn't change anything. Whatever's up next, just put my head down and go to work.
How does that process work for you? What do you want?
I honestly have no clue, but what I want, put in the best situation for me and my family, so I can take care of the people I love. And also want to play ball.
Do you think this is a good situation if you want to come back to Washington for you?
I have no clue what's next, who the coach is, who the coaches are going to be, players, whoever they bring in. So we shall see when that starts happening.
And that'll probably be a factor for you in terms of who they bring on as head coach and their philosophy.
Definitely, but that's up to my agent. We haven't really got to talking about that, so we'll see what he says.
What was it like playing for Coach Rivera?
Like I said, man, we had some good times, we had some rough times, but we enjoyed it. I talked about it yesterday, but not to say it was an amazing thing, but to be through somebody through like a crucial part of their life, and and see how he battled that, and that's something you'll never forget. And he was still there for us throughout that process. So we always had love for him. Just you kind of expect stuff like this to happen, but he didn't bring it up to us until now in the meeting.
What was his message to the team last night after the game?
Just that he appreciated us, regardless of what was going on with the season. It was a really bad season, but, the guys we fought, we didn't just tuck our tails and let things happen. Still didn't turn out the way we wanted, but we didn't just sit back and let it happen. We fought, all the way through, and, he appreciated us for that and allowing what he said for allowing us, for him to coach us.
Well, a lot of guys are saying that Eric Bieniemy, he was the same guy every single day. You guys knew what you were going to get out of him. For you, what do you kind of take away from him with his first year here at Washington?
He is who he is. That's a true statement. He's not going to change for anybody. He loves the game. He's a very energetic coach. He's going to coach with a passion. You can't be mad at that. And, I feel like it was his first. It was also, if you think about it, his first year. I feel like as an OC, so I feel like we all got something to learn, and I feel like he knows that we know it. I got a lot to learn. Team, we didn't have a season we wanted, so I feel like he'll come back, shake back, do what he need to do to get right, and he'll be all right, and we'll be all right. So that's just part of the game as well.
Awesome. Thanks.
We are going to keep rolling with the player media scrums. Up next, we have Jeremy Reaves, we have Quan Martin, and you absolutely want to hear Jahan Dotson's and Sam Cosmi's. But let's get into Revo's first.
So for OTAs or things like that, you'd be ready to go by then?
That's the goal. That's the goal. I got my date set. I won't tell you guys. I'll just let you see when I come back. But yeah, that's the goal. Is to get back full force and be ready for OTAs and just get after it. So.
Jeremy, where do you think things kind of went sideways this season? Is there a point you can circle or not particularly?
There's no real pinpoint on it. In reality, just like sometimes things just don't go your way. The hard part about the business is that you have expectations of what you want a year to be, and you work your ass off in the off season, and sometimes the shit just doesn't go well, right? I had goals of being something this year, and then it just didn't work out. I got hurt the one time in my career I've ever been hurt. So sometimes that's just life, Sometimes, things go left when you want them to go right. And it's unfortunate because this business, again, is about winning, and that's what people want. That's what we want. Hell, I want to win. I've been, here, and I've weathered a lot of storms here, and I want to be a winner. That's part of playing this game. You love to win. And so I think it's one of those years where it was just tough and nothing really just clicked. It seemed like one thing after another.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Your chance to really play more regularly happened here.
Right.
Ron, you made the roster for the first time, and you guys had that emotional exchange last year. He told you about the special teams, Pro Bowl. What did that connection mean to you, or what does it mean to you going forward?
Oh, man. It was amazing, man. At the end of the day, I know the business is about wins and losses. That's how the NFL works, I've been on the side that unfortunately he's on now more times than not, and so I understand it. But just who he was as a person, doesn't get attested to. The coaching side, I get it. It's a product-based business, but he doesn't get enough credit for the man he was. Going back to even before me, having cancer, going through cancer and having COVID, and just showing up every day being the same person. It says a lot about him. And then for the trials and the things that I had to go through in my own personal life with, my mother and, being cut so many times. And yeah, we might have had disagreements about the cuts, and I felt like I was ready, but it happened when it was supposed to, And at the end of the day, like, he gave me my opportunity, and I'm forever grateful for that, man. And I owe that man a lot.
More regular.
If you all are just tuning in, you're watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. And I'm your host, C-Ball. This is a live Bowie television recording, and we are going over everything that has transpired with the Washington Commanders in the past 24 hours. It has been a lot, but we all knew it was going to be a lot, from the firing of now former head coach Ron Rivera, locker cleanout day, a press conference. Now that wasn't planned. That we didn't know that was going to happen, but it did. A press conference with Josh Harris, managing partner and controlling owner of the Washington Commanders. We still have 3 more player media scrums. Quan Martin, you definitely want to stick around for Sam Cosmi and Jahan Dotson's player scrums as well. So for sure, I see a comment in the chat about we need an offensive line. Hey, listen, this is a process, and this show is going to definitely map out the process for sure, per Josh Harris and what he has shared with all of us earlier today. If you are checked in from the Facebook live stream, hit the love button. If you're on from YouTube, you all can still drop a fire emoji and drop a comment. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in. We will keep this rolling now with the player media scrum with Quan Martin.
You seem to really be here this season. Did it feel like sort of a switch flip for you at a certain point, or you just getting comfortable out there? I mean, what do you take away from this season?
I would say it's more so just being comfortable. I always knew what I was capable of as a player. We just needed an opportunity to showcase that on the field. So we're just learning defense a lot more, and just like I said, just having the opportunity to be more comfortable in the defense.
What will you take away from this season with Ron? What will you remember about working with him?
He was a great coach. Things definitely don't really show that. Our record, of course. Man, he's embraced me with open arms. He was always in my ear, just telling me things I can improve and get better at as a player, and this allowed me to add things to my game.
Do you guys have anything? Quan, obviously, up and down first year for you guys as a team, but for you, what's it like kind of your first year in the NFL? You lose your coach, so next year everything's going to be completely different. Have you thought about getting ready for something like that?
I mean, it's definitely something that I've been a part of in college. Coaching staff change, so I mean, I guess it's something that got to happen, and for me, just being able to control what I can control, and that's my effort, things I put on tape, and just the person I continue to be. So that's going to change for me. Just going to keep being myself, and just looking forward to new beginnings.
Josh Harris spoke to you guys this morning in your team meeting, is that right?
Yeah. What
was kind of his message to you guys, announcing, of course, that Rivera's gone and what he has planned for you guys in the future?
Yeah, he really just talked about things that he's going to focus on going forward, just building a new staff, and just putting the right people in place for us to be successful.
Is that exciting to know that he seems like a really passionate guy? He really wants an established, successful, sustainable future for you guys here in Washington.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. He's obviously the owner of the team, so you want someone who's passionate and wants to do what's best for the team and for the players. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
How would you describe? Go ahead. I'm sorry. What would you want out of the next regime, like coaching-wise? Like, is there any particular type of coach you would like to see come in, or a style that you would like to see come in?
I feel like I've had every coaching style imaginable. So I mean, it really don't matter to me, honestly, man. Just somebody to put us in the best position to be successful. And like I said, I continue to be myself, man, and just put my best foot forward.
How would you describe what's going on here today? You got boxes, teammates hugging one another. How would you describe the emotions that's taking place today in this locker room?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We've been talking about it, man. It's the last time a lot of us will be together as teammates. So, man, it's a bittersweet moment for us. Like I said, the season definitely didn't go as planned, but just
being able to be here with some of these guys, man, and learn from one another is pretty cool.
For certain, drop in the chat any of your thoughts, comments on what the players are saying. We still have a ton of content to share because that's what we do on the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. That is what we do in Bowie TV. We are going to give you all of the information so that you are well equipped and know everything that's happening in Commanders land. For certain, Jahan Dotson's player media scrum and locker cleanout day. You want to listen to this. It's about 5 minutes. You want to listen to this. And you for sure want to hear all of Sam Cosmi's player media scrum right after Jahan's. Up next, Jahan Dotson.
It is a tough day. You just want to talk to everyone because you don't know who's going to be back. So it is a tough day for everyone.
Were you able to share a moment with Ron Rivera? Obviously, he drafted you. He brought you here. What was that like, kind of seeing him leave?
Yeah, I shared a moment with Coach Rivera yesterday after the game. I told him, thank you. I appreciate you for taking a chance on me, helping me achieve the dreams that I've always dreamed of as a little kid. He took a chance on me. And that's all you ask of someone, so I'll forever be appreciative of that.
It's going to be an off-season of change. Can that be a good thing for this franchise, for this locker room?
Yeah. We at the end of the day, you guys know, we all know we need change. We need, things to be different around here. And I feel like that's happening right in front of our eyes. And I hope it's for the better. I hope everyone buys in because I'm going to buy in. And I can't wait for the future.
Tress told us that Josh Harris talked to you guys after Coach did. What were your emotions after that? Tress said he's ready to play another season right now.
Yeah, right. It is exciting because Mr. Harris is the future for us. So to have him speak to the team and have an owner who's not afraid to get in front of the guys and talk to us and engage with us. It's different things like him just being at the games, being on the sideline. You get to see him up close and personal. You get to talk to his family. So he's doing things the right way, and I'm super excited for him.
Is the day bittersweet because you want I know you were frustrated.
Yeah.
And you want things to be better, and this is the pain that you got to go through to get better.
Yeah, for sure. Through every process, there's growing pains, but you got to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm a firm believer in that. And, I keep saying it, but I can't wait for the future. I can't wait for what the future holds, and can't wait to get back at it with the guys.
So what's the off-season look like for you between now and the next couple of months?
Work. Go right back to work. I didn't have the year I wanted, and that's going to fuel me throughout this off-season. It should fuel a lot of guys in this locker room. I want to be better for this team. I want to be better for myself. And I have big plans for myself, so I'm going to get right back to work and try to hone in on my skills. He's a great leader. I feel like that's the biggest thing you take away from EB. He knows how to lead a group of men. He demands success, demands excellence, and that's what you want in a guy. He did a lot of great things for us. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
There's been a lot of mixed reviews about maybe his approach and how passionate he is and how he pushes you guys to be better.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Because obviously you've been pretty frustrated in how you guys would have that winning mentality. Do you think maybe his approach would lead to more of that success with maybe a different locker room next year?
No, I feel like EB, he preaches success. He doesn't accept anything but excellence. He doesn't accept anything but success. And if you don't do it that way, you're going to hear about it. And that's what you want. You want someone who's going to hold you to the standard and hold you accountable to be the best version of yourself. And EB does that. He does a great job of that. Tough coaching, it can go a long way. You just got to hear the message behind it.
John, how does the next coaching staff unlock you?
Just let me be a route runner. That's what I do best. I love the game of football, honestly, and I take pride in what I do. It was just let me be free, and let me make plays for this team because I know I can.
I remember in this summer you did an interview. You said you were going to be one of the guys that might break out. It seems like the offense limited that ability for you to do that. Is that a kind of fair way to put it this year?
You guys would be a better. You'd be able to tell me better than I could, honestly. But you know, I didn't have the season I wanted. Obviously, you guys know that. I know that. But you know, good thing this is only year 2, and this is a growing step in my process, in my journey, and I'm going to learn from it for sure, and I'm going to be better.
When you come back in the spring, probably going to be a lot of new faces. There's a lot of players. What are you expecting to see when you come back in the spring for OTAs?
I have no idea, to be honest with you, but I know that I'm going to come ready to work. I know that the guys who are here are going to come ready to work, and we're going to have a chip on our shoulder for the upcoming year, and we're going to make things happen. We got to make them happen. We got to make them happen fast. And we got a lot of guys in this locker room who want to do that. We want change. We want to be a part of winning culture. So I know it's going to be good.
For the guys.
I think, according to with my word of shocked, is absolutely I was shocked by the season that Jahan Dotson didn't have, but he already addressed that. He said he knows, and we know too. But I also wanted to pinpoint the comment he made about let him be a route runner, let him be free. He wants to be free. If you all just checked in from the Facebook stream, hit that love button. It's still time to share with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. This is from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, C. Wall. If you're checked in from YouTube, hey, my YouTubers, you all can comment in the chat as well. Say hello, all of those great things. Sam Cosmi is going to be the last media scrum that I share before we get into a deep dive of the Josh Harris press conference. What did he say? What did he not say? I was definitely seeing and sensing and getting questions in. Seriously, you all, I am there. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, for sure. There was for sure some clarifications needed, and we're going to get into some of that. His press conference is long, so we're going to try to get into as much as we possibly can without belaboring it because we know it's National Championship night. But without further ado, let's get into Sam Cosmi's media scrum.
Changing positions and playing at the level I did play, you know, I felt like I played at a very elite level all season. And, you know, I did my job at the end of the day, you know, and that's all you can do in these situations. So regardless of the record, regardless of the season, you know, I just came to work and showed up and worked my tail off every day. And again, there's a lot of factors, a lot of people in this building that, you know, do their jobs, and you know, we just came up short of a season that we wanted to have, you know, and so it is what it is, and you know, new hopes for next season.
How hard is it now that you know Ron has been dismissed and, you know, this operation's probably going to get reset?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, it was kind of expected, to be honest with you. So, like, you know, mentally we kind of knew already. But yeah, Mr. Harris said, you know, now it's his job to put the people in the right position to make this a successful team, and you know, having the right people in the right places. So, you know, we just leave that to him and us as players. We just show up, do our job, and keep working on our craft and doing that.
What went wrong this year? Like, at what point did the structure kind of break down?
You know, I would just say, like, it was definitely kind of a kick in the gut. You know, when you lose your 2 best DNs, you know, just for the team morale. You know, that wasn't easy for the team. But, you know, overall, you know, we dealt with some injuries, and you know, just things were clicking. You know, all season you heard that,
one game offense would have a good game, defense wouldn't. One game defense would have a good game, offense wouldn't. You just didn't play complementary football with both sides of the ball, and that just hurt us. And each and every game that we played, I felt like when we did have it together, we were very, very good. But I mean, that was just short spurts that you saw throughout the season.
Charles Leno earlier talked about kind of the structure you need and the leadership from the top. You've got at least another year here. Do you hope that everything changes now with new ownership, kind of a refresh now?
Yeah, I mean, like, you kind of just start from square one and then build from there. I think that's what they're doing with obviously the head coaching job, change. But I mean, just having the right, like I said, having the right guys, and that's up to Mr. Harris and the owners to figure that out. Who are going to be the right guys that can ultimately create a winning team. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to this team. I'm tired of just not playing good football, sloppy football. I mean, you saw all the year, it was just really, really sloppy football, and I hated it. Just hate being a part of that. And so I want to be around a winning culture. I want to be around a winning team and people that will just want to die to win, And so, like I said, I'm going to bring my skills and my work and my attitude and all that stuff to the table when I get here each and every day at work, when it comes to OTAs going forward. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Sam, we came in late.
Yeah, you're good.
What was Coach's final message to you guys?
It was just an honor and a privilege to be a part of this team and to have coached us and did what he did. And so it was a short message, short and sweet and to the point, and that was kind of pretty much the consensus of the message.
What was it like working under Eric Bieniemy this year and kind of a different sort of approach than what you guys were used to maybe the last couple of years?
I mean, I wanted to run the ball more. Me personally, being our O-line, give us a better chance to be more balanced. I felt like we weren't balanced. I think we're 30th in the league in attempts and runs. I love running the ball, and I felt like it was just nothing but like drop back passes. So I just wanted to be more balanced, and to be completely honest with you. Just run the rock, please. So that's all I would have to say for that.
Do you hope that changes next year and a new offensive coordinator and coach?
Yeah, let's run the ball. Let's be balanced. Let's take advantage of and utilize our guys that like B-Rob. I mean, kid's special. Just hand him the rock. We'll do the job up front as a unit. Don't worry about that. But yeah, that was my big thing this year. Just wanted to do that more for sure.
Strong words from Sam Cosmi on locker clean out day for the Washington Commanders. I told you all back during training camp. I told you all right after Ravens joint practices. I said, let me tell you something. You want to know somebody who doesn't mess around? Let me tell you who doesn't mess around. Sam Cosmi. Okay? He does not play at all. And while it was a fun moment today, because I mess with Sam all the time because he's tough. Sam Cosmi, I mess with him all the time. He's a tough guy. And we had some other player scrums as well, but I definitely wanted to get into those that I think sent some messages and just sharing with you all what they said. And I don't know, love button, fire emoji if you saw Sam Cosmi and Michael Parsons get the tussling out there. Who saw the tussling between Sam Cosmi and Michael Parsons in the game? And Sam and actually Andrew Wiley and myself had a good time today talking about that. You all see me smiling. There was a highlight of the day talking to them about that. But to hear and Sam Cosmi said to me he thought he had a great year, and he absolutely did. Sam Cosmi had a very good year. And as much as we talk about the offensive line, that is one offensive lineman right there that got the job done. And he doesn't mess around. And so to hear him with that feedback, to hear what he said, he's going to keep it real. And he did. So let's move on before all of the championship stuff starts, because we absolutely have to get into the Josh Harris press conference as much as we possibly can. The whole entire press conference is like 18 minutes, but we're not going to get into all that. I may stop it in some areas where I want to make sure it's highlighted and we talk through some things. So love button, fire emoji. If you all are still locked in, there's absolutely still time to share this show with your favorite Washington Commanders friends and family. If they want to be a part of the live discussion, you can always come back to the stream and watch it again. But you all, let's go ahead and get going.
We've decided to part ways with Ron Rivera. We appreciate Ron's efforts and everything he did for the franchise. I mean, obviously he came here during a tumultuous time period, the ownership change, and he really added leadership. But clearly, we weren't good enough this year. We didn't get it done on the field, and so we've decided to go into a new direction. And I think, as you probably heard, I'm going to be leading that search, both for a head of football operations as well as a head coach. And I'm going to be assisted by my partners, Irvin Magic Johnson, Mitch Rails, and David Blitzer, as well as a couple very well-known sports executives, Bob Myers, who I've known for many years and have a tremendous amount of respect for, and Rick Spielman, who obviously is a 30-year football executive of the year, obviously 10 years with the Vikings. Obviously Bob Myers built one of the amazing sports teams of the last decade in the Golden State Warriors. They were tough to compete with, so I got to know him. And, even though this season was hard for me and hard for us, it's hard to win 4 games. From my point of view, we are coming out of this with poised for a great future. A lot of draft capital, a lot of cap space, and I'm lucky enough to be supported by an amazing ownership group, and obviously we think we're an attractive destination for the next generation of leadership. And so this is probably amongst the most important jobs I have as a managing partner, and it's important that I do this personally and get this right, and that we bring in the right leadership. So with that, I will open it up to whatever questions you might have. Thank you.
Josh, John Keim, ESPN. I'm curious with Bob and Rick, we know the resumes. What is it about them personally that made you want them to get involved, and what will their roles be beyond this search?
Yeah, so obviously I'll start with Bob. Bob Myers is a winner. Like, who wouldn't want him on your team trying to help your franchise? He knows how to identify talent. He knows how to build winning franchises, winning cultures. I mean, he's obviously not a football person. He's not been around football, but he's an amazing sports executive, and I'm, really happy to have him helping. He'll be around as an advisor to me. He's not going to be involved with X's and O's, but he'll be involved through the search process and beyond, as it relates to the Washington Commanders, helping us build an amazing franchise, an amazing culture, and a winning culture. Obviously, Rick Spielman brings a wealth of football knowledge, the ins and outs of football. He was executive of the year with the Vikings, with many other teams, and kind of brings that knowledge of football that you need, when you're interviewing candidates. And so he's going to be helping us through the search process, and we'll see after that. I'm not sure.
Hi, Jeff.
So I'm going to pause it there for a moment, because I want you all to put in the chat if you have any questions and if you need any further clarification. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I think Josh Harris is very clear on these are advisors, not involved in X's and O's. I know when the information dropped early this morning, everybody was all over the place about this is the GM, it's this and that. Josh Harris explained it. I think it was a great explanation. I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. Drop in the chat again your questions, your comments. I want to make sure and tap in your fellow Commanders, family, and friends so that everyone is clear. You all know one of the things I'm big on in my show is ensuring everyone is educated. We all have the clarification that is needed so that we understand what's happening and that things don't get lost in translation. So I'm going to be doing a lot of referring people back to this show, referring them back to what's being said and what we've already talked about, because it's important that we're all listening to these messages together, being able to clarify, being able to explain so that we know what's happening. This thing is moving fast, and this is why I wanted to take the time to do this. Let's keep it going.
Nikki Jafala with Washington Post. How do you envision the general structure for the front office? You mentioned obviously the head of football operations, but what is your vision for the structure? And then what are you looking for in candidates to fill that role?
Yeah, so we're looking for the best people to build an elite franchise that's going to consistently compete and win championships. So that's kind of our goal. In terms of the structure, obviously I start with talent. You want the best talent. And sometimes, you let the talent just sort of influence the structure. But my orientation, obviously, is that being the head of football operations, being in essence in that lead role, that's an 80-hour-a-week job. Being a head coach, that's an 80-hour-a-week job. I think there are two roles there. And so I think it's harder. I mean, there are certainly individuals that control everything. I think it's increasingly hard, so my orientation is not to do that. But on the other hand, I'm going to I'm going to really be somewhat flexible around talent. So that's kind of how I'm going to think about it, and I hope that answered your question a bit.
Hey, Josh, David Aldridge with The Athletic. What about Bob's skill set made you think he could transition across sports to be helpful to you as you start this process?
Yeah, I think that he started off, with a he started off as a UCLA basketball player winning a national championship. So he started with that. He's been a winner where he's gone. But then he was a sports agent, so he knows everyone in sports. He knows a lot of agents. Many agents, as you know, cross sports, not all, but some. A lot of the agents, he's run, multiple processes to select talent. He knows how to engage with talent. And then obviously the Golden State Warriors' success speaks for itself. They started off as a franchise that was struggling a bit, and they've emerged as, four-time NBA champions. And he's been able to keep a collection of stars there together for a long period of time. So, look, like I said at the beginning, I think he's going to be super helpful.
Hey, Josh, JP Finley with NBC4 and 106.7 The Fan. A lot of reporting today about requests for interviews all over the league, coach and GM positions. Ideally, what's your timeline for all this? And what's the timeline for the folks that are still here when they kind of find out their future?
Yeah, so I'm going to run a thorough but rapid process. obviously, we need the next leadership here because we got a lot of work to do. We have the draft, we have the off season, we have a lot of draft capital that we need to get prepared for. Ultimately, free agency, combines. But on the other hand, this is a really important decision, and so it's going to be a rapid but thorough process. Ideally, you would have the head of the front office in place before you ultimately select a coach, because obviously that's important. But look, again, we're not in full control of the time frame, because what we're ultimately trying to do is end up with the best people, and the best people generally have alternatives. So that's what I would say. In terms of, I spoke with the front office leadership and the coaching staff, some of the coaches today, and I appreciate that from their point of view. There's uncertainty, but I've just asked them to be a part, to bear with us, and to just to do their jobs, right? To continue to run the football team. And everyone to a person has said that they care about the club, they care about the franchise, and that they want to be part of the solution. And so, obviously, without the head coach and without the head of the front office in place, there's some uncertainty for them, and I respect that and am sympathetic to it. But on the other hand, they're professionals, and so we're working through it.
Hey, Josh, Ben Standing with The Athletic. You famously with the Sixers were willing to take a slower rebuild to get things where you wanted them to be with coming off a 4-13 season. How open are you to being patient with a rebuild, or do you see this being more of a quicker turnaround?
Yeah, listen, this was not a fun season for the ownership group. I mean, we're right there with the fans in terms of sweating every loss. And so, I mean, obviously, if we could write the script, it would be a quick turnaround. But on the other hand, you have to make long-term decisions and do things in a very, one person at a time, one athlete at a time. And so sometimes they take longer, right? So I think what my view is that we want it to be as quick as we can, but the ultimate goal, right, is to be an elite team that's competing for championships. And so I find that when you do things quickly, sometimes you set yourself back. And so my orientation is to make the right decisions and let the time frame take its own course. I mean, obviously, I want a winning franchise quickly, but on the other hand, for me, it's about making the right decisions.
Michael Phillips.
Another break here, because I want you all to drop in the chat. Now, a lot of you all who watch the show and some of you all who are new may have questions. Again, I think Josh Harris is abundantly clear. Now, as we go on, some of the questions weren't necessarily as direct as maybe I would have liked it, but hey, he's not going to give us the entire secret sauce. He's not going to give us that much, but he is able to effectively address the public and the media and saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what we want to do. This is how. He didn't even have to do it. We know previous ownership never did. So for him wanting to, let me back this up too, because I don't think this point is a large enough point for the owner to address the team and staff after the dismissal of Ron Rivera is huge. So he went and he addressed his organization. He came and addressed the media and the fan base and the general public. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. In the spirit of transparency, not all of us in the room were able to ask questions. But that's, neither here nor there. I think that it was still a lot of messages shared. Drop in the chat your thoughts on what you've heard so far. Drop in the chat if you have any questions for me. This is the Washington Commanders update. We're still into a live Bowie television recording of all the things that have happened in the last 24 hours with the Washington Commanders. This is the start, you all, of the Josh Harris ownership group era for certain. So we still got a bit more of his press conference. Again, drop your questions and comments in the chat. I'm here to address them all.
Washington Times and 910 The Fan. You've spent a year now with the Commanders, the branding, the name. Have you had discussions about where to go from there, and what have those been like in terms of the name and the branding?
Yeah, as you can see, we're a little busy. In addition to basically picking a new head of the front office, a new coach, I see Mark in the front there. We're busy at work, working on the next improvements to our stadium in terms of fan experience, in terms of premium areas, and fixing a lot of different things and investing in the stadium. We're going to be rolling out a big investment program in the next few weeks, and there's an enormous amount of detail that the business staff and some of the ownership group are working on. And then we've got obviously our new home and thinking about that. And so right now our focus today is on sports first and foremost, and then these other things. And so those are our focuses right now.
Josh Beresford from the Washington Post. Back to logistics a little bit. Is it your desire to have a head of football operations in place and that person hires the head coach, or will you do that in concert with that person? How will that work out?
Yeah, so my desire is to have the head of the football operations in place, and then to work to listen very hard to what that person wants to do in terms of the coaching staff. In other words, I think those two things have to work together. And obviously, as I've said before, I want to get the best talent here and then hold them accountable and work with them, right? So what that person wants to do or not do is really important in our decision process. Doesn't mean that you are not involved in it, but it means that you're, to a large extent, you're relying on that person to bring a series of candidates to the table. And so that would be my ideal scenario. On the other hand, we have to move quickly here, so it's not perfect, but that's my orientation.
Hey, Josh, Sam Fortier with the Washington Post. How many candidates do you expect to interview for each position, and are the stakes higher because of how this year went?
Yeah, I don't think we want to get into specifics around the process, but we've been thinking about who the best candidates are, and like I said, I think it's an attractive destination, and truthfully, also, you don't really know who's going to be available. There's still a lot of teams playing. We wish we were one of them, but there are a lot of teams playing, and you don't know how this is going to sort out. And so I think that we'll have to see where it ends up in terms of numbers, but we're going to run a very thorough process. And anyone who is capable, who we think meets the criterion of being able to lead this franchise and win, which is our ultimate goal, then we're going to talk to them.
Josh, Steve Wonder from the Associated Press. What did you make of Eric Bieniemy's season as offensive coordinator, and will you be considering him for the head coaching vacancy?
Yeah, so I've enjoyed working with Eric, and obviously he's had success over the years. And I'd say that, I spoke to Eric today, and, he's hard at work managing our franchise. And I look forward to hopefully, if I could write the script, having our senior football operations executive in place and then approaching the coaching search with Eric and others.
Now, let me stop it right there, because he answered the question. I've gotten this question so much. What about Eric Bieniemy? What about Eric Bieniemy? What about Eric Bieniemy? What about Eric Bieniemy? And I feel like Josh Harris just answered the question. So we'll see what happens. I think this is also a good moment for me to also clarify again that, things happen fast. Who knows what today brings? Who knows what tomorrow brings? All of the things, right? But right now, the only person that they parted ways with was Ron Rivera. Everyone else is still in place. Again, and drop in the chat, what do you think about this list so far of interview candidates? We're going to get into that before we close out. I'm going to play a little bit more of the press conference before we shut things down. But you can't just everybody out. How is the organization going to operate, right? Because there's still work to be done. Senior Bowl and Senior Week starts at the end of January, beginning of February, right? We heard Josh Harris say some of that in his press conference. There is work to be done. So you can't just say, everybody get out. That's not how it works in real life. So we don't want to think that that's how it really goes. Here's something else I want to caution people on. How many times have we all sat back and said, oh, look at all the coaching talent that was in the building that have gone other places and been successful? Do not think that the lack of success with this team is an indicator of the performance of a specific coach. Let's be clear. The team was losing with Kyle Shanahan. They were losing with Sean McVay. They were losing with Kevin O'Connell. They were losing with Matt LaFleur. And the list goes on and on and on. Right? Yet we've seen these coaches go other places and be successful. So if they knew we got to start at the top, Ron Rivera holds both of these positions, did not perform accordingly. We know this person we have to part ways with. Everybody else gets a fair shot. They get a fair shake. They're going through the evaluation process. I would strongly caution on wanting to just throw out any coach that is used to winning cultures within the last decade. I would caution against that. I would caution against overlooking anybody based on the way things previously ran under the previous leadership. Again, everybody deserves a fair shake. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, right? But I think he answered the question quite clearly about his thoughts today on Eric Bieniemy. Love button, fire emoji. Drop any questions and comments you have in the chat. Let's check out a little bit more of the press conference. Are you enjoying the deep dive so far? Because you all know me. In a season, basically, this is the season finale. This is the end of the Commanders season. I'm going to still, of course, be giving all of the updates. We do a weekly DMV sports show as well. So we'll be putting all of the Commanders content there and checking in throughout the week as well. But we're going to give you everything that has happened in the last 24 hours because it has been a big 24 hours. So a little bit more of the press conference. Check it out.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Candace Buckner, Washington Post. And any of your other franchises in hockey and basketball, have you gone to another sport for advice, like getting a baseball guy to help with the Sixers or maybe NFL guy to help with the NHL, just with your advisory?
Look, I think that the answer to that is no. But I think that obviously high-quality people are available across many pursuits. And so I think that we're always looking for people that can help us. But right now, we're happy with the leadership staff we have at the Devils and the leadership staff we have at the Sixers. And they happen to come out of hockey and basketball, so we don't have any baseball or football people in the mix there.
Josh, Scott Abraham, ABC 7. Obviously, you mentioned everyone's frustrated. You're frustrated. Fans are frustrated. What's the message you want to give to this fan base to have them believe still that this ship is heading in the right direction?
Yeah, so my message to the Washington fan base is thank you. You guys showed up in droves. You believed in us. We sold out every game, even with a 4-win season. Now, granted, there are a few visiting fans there, but that's on us. We're not in the playoffs, and so thank you for showing up. And the future is bright. We have a lot of cap space. We have a great ownership group. We're very committed to winning for this city, and look forward to showing you, in addition to telling you, over the next series of years.
So I'll pause it there. I'll stop it there. I think that was a good stopping point. There were a couple more questions, but you all, here we are. Here we are. As we get ready to close out for this episode, and like I just mentioned a moment ago, we will continue to keep you updated. You all make sure you are following my page. If you scroll through my page, I'm giving you all of the updates on interview candidates for both the head of football operations as well as head coaching positions. You can also go on my very public Twitter page at Seawall SE, as well as the at Bowie TV Sports page as well. There is a lot going on, and I for sure want to share this with you all. Just last Thursday, my Bowie TV Sports colleague and I went over a list of potential GMs. And some of these have been, the first two right here on the list from the 49ers and the Chiefs, the interview request has been put in, as well as with the Eagles. The interview request has been put in. And it's more to come. And I'm sure there's more that we don't know about. Here's some other GM sleeper list folks. Look, I picked the wrong person, not the wrong person, but we had the Browns down, but it was a different person. But you never know, because not everything necessarily gets told. But whatever we get our hands on, you can guarantee and count on Bowie TV to give you all that information. Here's some others as well, just from last week. Right. This is just from last week. As we get into the week and start to learn a lot more about what this list looks like, we're definitely going to be sharing this on the weekly DMV Sports Update. I anticipate that we don't know everybody that they've put an interview request in for, nor we should, right? Nor should we, meaning, but we know we got a good batch of them, and we did pretty good in doing our research and seeing it come to life. Like, oh, those clues we were getting, that information we were getting was right. Yes, lots of high fives between Darrell and I today in Ashburn about that. But you all know Bowie TV, myself, I'm always going to be giving you all the information. I'm going to give you all the real. And I want to make sure everybody understands. I want to make sure everybody knows how this works. I want to make sure everyone's able to hear it clearly, because oftentimes, and when we share things, when I'm saying we, I mean media, sometimes we share snippets, sometimes we share things in reels or shorts, or a tweet is only but so much characters. And so it's important to provide that additional context. It's important to provide that additional clarity so that everybody understands what's going on. I'm going to give you all a few more moments to drop your comments and questions in the chat before I sign off you all. This was a tough season. They're all tough, right? It's a sacrifice to travel, it's so much fun, but it's all tough. But I did make a comment on my personal page. I said, this is the best, worst season I've covered of this team. Because I had a great time, a great time. And a part of that great time is being able to share the coverage in the news and the updates with all of you, because you are so amazing and awesome. You show up for the live, you share it with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. You watch it over and over again. You watch it all during the week. And so I'm most appreciative of that. But it was tough, because you get to know people and you want things to go so much better than what's happening in real life. And there wasn't anybody in that space that didn't want to win. Everybody wanted to win, but they didn't. And so changes have been made. And this is going to be at the end of the press conference, Josh Harris looked at us and he said he'll see us again soon. So they're moving this thing forward. Again, I wanted to continue to reiterate the timing. Senior Bowl week starts the last week of January, that first week of February. So you would absolutely want, a leader, you would think, on board by then. Absolutely. You got to by combine, right? But he said rapid but thorough process. So this is going to be good. I mean, I hope it's good. I've wrestled back and forth around the concept of, is this an attractive job? I've seen national media saying it's not an attractive job. I've seen others, my colleagues, said this is absolutely an attractive job. Josh Harris believes, and the ownership group believes, that this is an attractive job. I'm torn, you all, because of the culture piece. In the organizational culture piece, you have the draft capital, yes, you have the cap space, absolutely, but the change in the culture to focus it on winning, and to focus on the details, and quite frankly, to do all you can. We know that perfection is not attainable per se, but you got to try to be the majority of the time to win at this level. And so I just don't see that. The leadership spirit, that, again, culture piece is where I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? Because the culture was there. I mean, the guys speak beautifully about what was built in that locker room. The key was it didn't translate to the product on the football field. And that's where it needs to translate. It's got to work there. It's got to be there. And if it's not there, nobody cares about your locker room stories. Let's just be for real. You all know I've been bringing you all the locker room stories and the positive stories, because I feel like that's a part of the whole picture. But that was also one of the reasons why I was super confused this year. Like, I've never seen the guys be better. I've never seen them work harder. And game day, it's like everybody forgot to play. I don't understand. And so, attractive job, yes. But one thing I know that you all have heard me say, that you all have now heard Josh Harris say in his press conference, is that he has to get this right. I don't think he can miss. Nope. Not with $6 billion and a group of partners that are looking at accountability. Selling out the games are fine. That's great. It helps the bottom line tremendously. It doesn't even impact your bottom line if the game is sold out, right? But imagine all you could be and all you could have if you not only sold out the game, but also have a winning record. It has to be, and I think Kim used this word, gut-wrenching, right? It has to be hard, as you all have heard me say, to watch teams pass you by. Teams that have been historically bad are in the playoffs and you're home. That's gotta be tough to deal with. And let's just all be honest, just about the entire league pretty much had a better record than the Commanders. So how is it that you have this great culture internally that did not translate to the football field? And I feel like one of those things is rooted in culture and rooted in the kind of normal, natural reaction to win. When is it going to snap? right? We got to go out here and win. Who's going to be the voice in a way that translates to a change in behavior that then impacts your field product? We understand what impacts the bottom line. Butts and seats, selling tickets, got you. You really don't have a ticket selling problem because opposing team fans are going to come to your stadium and buy premium tickets to sit there and watch their teams play. So truthfully, you don't have a ticket selling issue, right? Because you sell the tickets to the opposing team fans as they've done. However, that field product matters. And the departure of Ron Rivera lets you know that that field product matters, because even Josh Harris said, hey, he's done some great leadership things. But we weren't good enough. That part of the job is going to be hard, very hard. And who in the room? Who in the room? Where are the dogs? I want you to be a good person. But when you get out there on that field, I want you to walk and talk and play like you are the baddest mofo in that league. That's it. You step across me, brother, you about to get beat. Hate to tell you this. Hate to do this to you in front of all of these lights, but you about to get embarrassed. 1 second, please, and get it done. And get it done, right? Just don't talk about it, be about it. No, we're not going to do no trash talk. No, trash talk them down. Trash talk them down. Because that's what everybody else out here doing. But mean that. That's another side of it's not arrogance, it's confidence that I'm the best out here. And on this here game day, you're going to have to prove it, because that's the problem. They weren't getting beat in close games. They were getting beat. And we watch teams go down all the time and come back and win. It was like the fight just wasn't there. It wasn't there. Few bad plays, and it was just down and out from there. They just couldn't ever recover. And so that's where I'm at with it. You all are going to hear me say this message. You're going to hear me talk more and more about this. And if you're still with me, hit the love button, hit the fire emoji. I'm going to share this with you all. In observing the Coach B enemies of the world and discussions with the Coach B enemies of the world, I know that a lot of folks giving him a bad rap in terms of how the offense played, especially down the stretch, from a team that he didn't pick and he didn't draft, but there's got to be something said for the mentality that he has. And you heard Jahan Dotson say that. In terms of the mentality of demanding excellence being the standard, that attention to detail. There's gotta be something said about that, and coupling that, and then Sam Cosmi said it about that balance of what's going to work. What is going to work based on your athletes and based on who you have out there. And the team just has to play better. They got to be better themselves as well. Each and every single player, each and every single coach, whomever is there. But I don't want that mindset to leave the building. I don't. I'm being honest. Eric Bieniemy has been in the postseason for a decade. In a decade, he's made the postseason every year for 10 years straight. This is the first year he ain't made the postseason. He coming off a Super Bowl win and did not even make the postseason. So So I just wanted to share that with you all, in my opinion, in my mindset of the types of mentality, who's been around in the league, who's been in winning cultures, who consistently makes the postseason, who understands this new generation. And then coupling that with getting those players that teams are like, oh man, we got to play them on Sunday. Oh gosh. You know, somebody who's like, oh, man, you know, because I'm going to tell you, we've seen, study the Houston Texans, study the Detroit Lions, study the Cleveland Browns, study the Las Vegas Raiders, study the Buffalo Bills, right? Study the LA Rams this year and other years. I mean, the list goes on and on. The Green Bay Packers, study the Green Bay Packers. These are teams that faced more adversity than the Washington Commanders did this season. And they're in the postseason. They made it. And the culture, locker room, immaculate with the Commanders, but it doesn't answer the meal on the football field. So something is off. And I promise I'm gonna do a case study on this. Okay, hold me to it, folks. And I see folks are joining late. You want to make sure you all go back and watch this show. We covered everything from initial reactions to the dismissal of Coach Rivera. We shared player scrums from Tress Way, Sam Cosmi, Jahan Dotson that you gotta go and listen to, from Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves, Cornelius Lucas. You don't want to miss any of those things, you all. And then we went and did a deep dive into Josh Harris's press conference earlier today. So you absolutely want to take the time to go back and watch and listen to the whole entire thing. And yeah, today is the first day of the rest of the Washington Commanders tenure under the Josh Harris group. And kudos to him. I want to say this again. I said it earlier, but kudos to Josh Harris and the group for, even after the dismissal of Ron Rivera, addressing the team and the staff and the media and the fan base and the general public all in one day, and saying, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. Here's what our plan is for right now. Let's all be for real. We all, and every single stakeholder group associated with the Washington Commanders, has never experienced what we experienced today before. Somebody who came out the day of and addressed their team, the staff, the media, the fan base, the general. Nobody's ever done that the day of. So it is indeed a new era. It is a new way of working, way of observing. And there's a lot more to come. Make sure you all are following on Twitter at Bowie TV Sports, as well as myself at Seawall SE, to keep up with all the interview candidates for both the head of football operations and head coach. I'm posting it everywhere. And if you follow me on Facebook, I'm on Facebook at Candy Waller. I'm loading it up all day today. It's been crazy. Everything in terms of who the interview candidates are. And we'll go from there, you all. Love button, fire emoji if you're excited. If you're excited. If you are excited, love button, fire emoji, you all. This is going to be a ride right here. And I felt that today. I was like, whoo, okay, all right. It's clearly a marathon, not a sprint. All right. So we'll see what happens next. Totally impressed with the advisory council Josh Harris has put together to help him find the next head of football operations. And then following up with the head coach. So he bringing in the heavy artillery to make sure, and he said it, to make sure he gets this right. Because I'm going to tell you something, Commanders fans. Y'all hear me? I got to tell y'all this too. Every time I say I'm going to stop, I keep talking. But I want to share this with you all. Because this is technically the season finale of the Washington Commanders update. Then we'll make sure there's always Washington Commanders updates throughout the week in the weekly DMV Sports Update, which is live on Thursdays. Let this be the first and last year of this era where it's okay to get a number 2 pick. Let this be okay. Because see, all the other teams I named earlier that have now surpassed the Commanders, teams we used to laugh at, we used to laugh at the Detroit Lions, laugh at the Texans. The Raiders really haven't been relevant in a while. They went through firing all kinds of people at the beginning of the season, and then they kind of came up. The Rams were struggling. They done made the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers got the youngest team in the league, and they've made the postseason. You know, the Cleveland Browns have gone through 4 quarterbacks this season. They've gone through 4. They went and got Joe Flacco. They went and go get Flacco. They had to call people, you know, call them up. We need some help. And they've all made the postseason. And if you don't learn anything else, it's that nobody cares about a top draft pick. In real life, only losers care about a top draft pick. Makes you feel better. Well, you know, hey, got a top draft pick. And that's some bull crap. Right? That's not for winners. Winners don't care about that. And let's all be for real. Can we also be very honest about something else? Name the last few Super Bowl champions that cared or made it super duper far based on their top draft pick. Now, the Texans got a story to tell. They got a story to tell, right? But I'm talking about collectively. We're not talking about these teams with top draft picks and starters right now. We're not talking about a slew of all these playoff teams that's got quarterbacks overall. Well, all these quarterbacks of these teams were top draft picks. All these players were top draft picks. No. This is why I've been saying, whoever you get in here, they better know what they're doing from the number 2 to the 42, whatever you're doing, to the undrafted. And let's not forget free agency. The Commanders have definitely bombed in that one, in free agency. They got to get this stuff right. Because the teams that are winning when you are able to make adjustments in season due to injuries to key positions. Let me go back to the Cleveland Browns, right? How many injuries did they deal with at the quarterback position? And they still were able to make the postseason. You got to pay attention to little stuff like that. Those are very important points about a team. Okay, you done switched your quarterback I don't know how many times. The days are over for us to keep talking about development and trying to learn a playbook. We're watching teams in real life learn it, do it, week after week. You know, and I'm going to tell you, let's go here. You're not wrong about being happy, but I'm going to tell you this. there needs to be a level of accountability going forward for this ownership group. Because see, we let the previous owner get away with it. As long as the fans were happy, he was like, well, what changes I have to make? They happy with the draft pick. No, because the winners don't care about that. What do the Kansas City Chiefs looking like caring about a draft pick right now? What dare I say, what do the Dallas Cowboys and even the Philadelphia Eagles look like caring about a top draft pick? I mean, Dak Prescott just stood right there in FedEx Field in the visiting press conference room and said he didn't even want to wear the NFC East hat because he wanted a bigger hat. He wanted another hat. I ain't thinking about that. Because they've learned over the years that the winners don't care about that. That's small. That's small change. They want the big change. So that's the whole thing. And I want to acknowledge this comment as well, because I think this is a big comment. I've been telling you all this for a very long time. And from Andrew O'Shea, thank you for joining. It depends on how they use it. Why am I going to get excited about a pick that hasn't hit the field yet? I need to see the tangible results. I need to see the output of these picks before I say that you did a good job on that one. You have to learn. You have to take these lessons learned and be for real about it, you all. You have to say, when was the last time you were excited about a draft pick that didn't work out? Probably last year. Maybe even every year. Stop being excited. You got to see what happens. Hold your applause. Hold your applause until the product conveys a different message. Yeah, I want to see what you do with it. But it's got to show up. That's all I'm saying. And I do believe that Josh Harris is taking this seriously and saying, I got to get this right the first time. I got to get home runs. Really, it's got to be a grand slam. You got to hit everything. You got to hit with your head of football operations, your next head coach, your staff to support that head coach, whether you continue with current staff members or bring in new ones, with your players, your roster, with your free agency injury. You got to hit on everything. I wouldn't accept anything less. And I say that because just look at the playoff list. Just look at the teams. These were teams we didn't even want to watch play. They couldn't even get any viewers. Now look, that's all I'm saying. Do the environmental scan. Do it. We already know the opponents for next year. Prepare. The strength of schedule going to be down anyway because they were so bad this year. Now, that doesn't mean you got to treat it like, oh, it's going to be easy, because no, it's never easy. But what I'm saying is you need to be prepared. You need to be gearing up for the future, because we are watching teams prepare every year to go into the post. We're not seeing teams making moves anymore based on who they want to be 3 and 4 years down the road. Nobody cares about 3 and 4 years down the road today. It's January 2024. I need people in here that's ready to rock week 1, September 2024. Do not disappoint me. Be great or be gone. That's hard. That's harsh, but it's real. And I'm not making it up. Just look at the playoff picture. Look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers accomplished. Do we need to keep going down the list of names? Do we? In the list of teams? Because it kind of, when you really think about it, you keep going down the list of teams, it's going to make you feel worse, really, when you really think about it. But it keeps you, I do that even while I'm studying, because it keeps me alert. It keeps me aware of what's happening. That's why I always say on my show all the time, make sure you are watching other teams play. Don't just watch the Commanders on Sunday. You better be paying attention to what's happening in the league. You better be paying attention to what's happening around you. You got to pay attention always to the division, and then pay attention to your opponents, and then just pay attention to what everybody else is doing. Because let me tell you something, my eyes were absolutely on the Texans. Absolutely started paying attention to the Browns. Like, wait a minute. Whoa, they still winning football games over there? And they, for sure, the Detroit Lions absolutely was paying attention to the Raiders. Oh, you name it. I had the number because I wanted to see what was going on and who the winners are. And, of course, the LA Rams. I was like, wow, they still making it happen? Yeah. You all, it's been real. Thank you for hanging out. Continue to drop your questions and comments in the chat. Make sure you're following me on all platforms to keep up with everything happening in this offseason. You all really hung out with me for 2 hours. Thank you so very much. I hope you all have enjoyed the coverage all season long. As always, there's more to come. I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again soon anyway to talk about the new additions to the staff. So more to come, you all. Be safe and stay locked in. Bowie TV, Seawall Sports and Entertainment. Much appreciation, you all. Be well, and I'm going to talk to you guys again soon.